Hi everyone, my name is Mícheál Halpin and thanks for stopping by the channel. Today's video is about a recent day we had in Bray, County Wicklow, where Mike, Martin and myself rented a couple of fat bikes and we got a guide from a company called Fatbike Adventures to spend a half day cycling around Belmont Domain. This video in particular is focused on the first half of the day, where we got the mountain bikes, and as you can see from the video on screen, we cycled up around Bray Head and back down. There were also a few options as well to do different types of trails. They have a blue and red trail in particular, but this video is purely just around the Bray Head cycle itself. So hope you enjoy it, and if you like it, like and subscribe. So as you can see, we're actually on the climb already itself at this stage. I've skipped the first few minutes of the actual climb, purely because some of these routes are on private land. And obviously with a guide, we have permission to do all of this, so I didn't really want to get it out there too publicly. I know some of this stuff is public and some is private, so part of the reason I wanted to skip the very beginning of it. The first 10-20 minutes we probably spent just doing blue trails within Belmont Domain itself, where Fatbike Adventures are actually based. So if you ever want to do this route, I'd highly recommend contacting Fatbike Adventures. We rented the bikes from them, it was very reasonable. We also had a guide who you can actually see on the right hand side just in screen here. He's the guy with the yellow backpack on. Fantastic guy, very knowledgeable. Made the day really easy. Originally we had planned on doing this on our own without any guided support, but we're so glad we did. He definitely made it 5 times better than it would have been if we had done this on our own. One of the things to note here is you'll see lots of different gates that we go through, and in many cases these gates are on private land and he has keys to them, so these aren't open to the public. It's one of the reasons I haven't linked the Strava route or the route in Komoot, is that we don't really want to encourage people doing this without, without proper permissions.
A few minutes later.
Now, it's worth noting that the three of us, Mike, Martin, myself, we're all road cyclists, and none of us have really done any off-road cycling in years, basically since we were kids. When we had BMXs. So this was really the first time any of us have been on mountain bikes. And part of the reason we decided to do Fatbiking is it's Ireland, it's November. The day in question was actually about 2 or 3 degrees, but there was snow earlier in the week. So we thought, it's very rare for us to get a chance to spend the day doing something like this, and we didn't want to get snowed off. And we didn't want to, bring our road bikes and have pouring rain and just do something we kind of do anyway. We decided to do something a little bit different. So when I realized Fatbike Adventures were based so close to where we were going to be spending the day, it just made perfect sense. Probably here we're breathing a little bit heavy here as well. Part of this climb it's 9, 10, 12%. So even with mountain bike gearing, and even though in theory we should be a bit fitter than we were, it's the middle of November, we haven't really been out that much. It was definitely a little tougher than I thought it would be going up.
10 seconds later.
Now, just regarding this part of the trip, you can see we're just going through a couple of fields here, and they're on kind of a side hill, so we're kind of cycling into the slope. It's really the first time we actually got to use the fat bikes as fat bikes, where the ground was very soft. You'll see now in a few seconds, we actually go through some really wet ground, where if we're on any other type of bike, or even if you were walking, you're definitely in water up over your shoes. It was quite deep. So for us, it just put a massive smile on our face. It's like being back to when we were kids, where you're just flying around. You don't really care what's in front of you. We're not going that fast here. We're still getting used to it, and bit cautious of, um, coming down in the wet, but the fat bikes really, for people getting into mountain biking, they really made it easy to cover this type of terrain. We're just starting to come down now. You can actually see, even on the left-hand side, a little bit of Bray Golf Course. And kind of a heading to the right, we're coming close to Bray Head. You can see there where Mike went through, big splash of water. Now I'm in it, and suddenly we're having to pedal just to keep momentum going. So even though you're going downhill, that water brought me to a standstill. I had to keep going again. Just on the bikes themselves, we all had Surly ice cream trucks, and in particular, I was really lucky in that I managed to get the one bike they had that had the Lauf spring forks on it. It was brilliant. I knew they had one, and I just happened to snag one as they were bringing them out of storage. So yeah, brilliant bike. Definitely, I would really love to get one.
12 seconds later.
And here we are again. We've just gone through another gate. We're back up climbing through a bit rougher terrain here. I've obviously edited out some of these clips, but you can see, and you know, these bikes, even though they're fat bikes, they're much lighter than we actually thought. They're much better at climbing. Because of the massive tires, you get so much more traction. Any issues you see here aren't down to the bikes. It's purely down to the fact that we're road cyclists and we're just not used to handling, big wide handlebars or anything like that. So what I did actually find, again, purely down to the lack of technique on my behalf, is as soon as we start climbing up very steep stuff, I just couldn't balance. I just couldn't get my balance right in the bike. I couldn't keep momentum down. So every now and again, when we were starting to climb up, it would just take me a few goes just to keep momentum going. I'm pretty certain a few days on the bike, a few more hours, you just get used to it. We could even tell by the end of it, a few times around the Blue Trail, I was much, really getting into the groove with it. But certainly in the first half an hour climbing up here, things that look very straightforward, I was just struggling with the basics.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
And here we are again, we're getting pretty close to the top now. You can just start to see the sea in the background, and on the left hand side, that's Bray. And then further north, if you're not familiar with it, it's Dublin. So along the coast. We're roughly at about 200 meters up here, I think, at this stage, or we're getting close, about 200, 250 meters. So it's definitely a sizable climb. Worth noting as well, they do have electric bikes, and our guide was actually on an electric bike that day. Not that he needed it compared to the rest of us, but it's definitely an option. So if you're thinking about doing this, and if you've only cycled, in the past few years, just a little bit, it's definitely manageable. It's manageable for everyone. We just wanted to get a bit of a workout. You can just start to see there on the left hand side, that cross, that's actually Bray Head itself. That's the very peak of it. We can also see, just coming around the corner here, this horse. As we hit the brakes, bit of a squeak. Big concern was the horse would get spooked and give me a boot to the side of the head, but luckily he was fairly chill about it. And swinging around here, a little bit out of breath, suddenly last bit to get up. You start pedaling as hard as you can. GoPro doesn't really do it justice, but this is getting pretty steep here. This is definitely in the double digits, and just trying to balance keeping power down. You can actually see some of the tire marks there coming through. And then obviously off to the right hand side, that's the Irish Sea. So all the way up to the top. It was pretty exposed up here, and we actually spent probably maybe 5 minutes, but with the northerly breeze coming down, it definitely felt, pretty close to just 1 or 2 degrees. So
5 minutes later.
And for me, this is, really where it started to get fun. Going up is one thing, but the best thing about cycling is going downhill. Again, for us, it doesn't seem that tricky, but it was steep enough that we had to put in a bit of effort, pay a bit of concentration. But we managed to get down, and you can see from the view, it's just stunning. Even being a bit overcast, you know, what a way to spend a Friday in November. So, yeah, I love this, but this was really one of the highlights for me. Just going across here, a little bit of up and down, nothing too serious. And again, the bikes just made it so easy. Nothing treacherous, nothing crazy, but just really enjoyed rolling along here.
That's what's wrong. Oh, they're like, this thing's just too easy. There you go.
At this stage, I was actually just going to crop out this bit between the blurry image and myself and Magic were just having a chat. But when you look at the background, when you look at the picture of the Irish Sea just going down the cliffs, I just had to leave it in. It's a stunning scenery. The weather didn't really make it look that good, but compared to a day in the office, this was just stunning. So.
equipment.
Yeah.
So they've moved.
One minute, 37 seconds later. Moments later.
Epilogue.
Thanks for watching the video, and if you've liked it, please give it a like or a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, please subscribe to the channel. Have a good one.